The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And boy, I'm telling you, what a crock last night was. I'm telling you, there was more BS in that room than you could shake a stick at. It was just, I'll tell you. I've been around this game a long time. That was one of the most disgusting, nauseating performances I have ever seen. Talk about a dog and pony show. I mean, it was truly disgusting to listen to the propaganda and just the flat out lies and manipulations that went on yesterday to justify a budget that basically kills the taxpayers, has no shared sacrifices, is way out of line. It's just, you know, I mean, I'm so disgusted. I don't even know where to begin, CJ.
Well, you know, I just find it interesting because, I mean, you're right. I mean, all that came to mind was the song Pretty Little Lies, you know? And what really made it interesting was the fact that the mayor took a seat and Joe Camara said, and remember, Mr. Mayor, you have 3 minutes. Of course, it wasn't enforced and it was said in jest, but maybe Joe Camara and the city council now see you can't get anything across to them in 3 minutes. They need a few more minutes just on the introductions. But the mayor turned around and said, oh, and if you have a 3-decker and you're only renting 2, we're going to, you know, not collect the $10 fee on that empty unit. Number one, how are you going to do that? Number two, that's not what the ordinance says. And number three, the entire budget is based on that $10 fee on every single unit, not just, you know, a vacancy here or there. So again, the pretty little lies keep coming out more and more and more.
You know, as you said, you know, again, here we have a lawyer saying exactly what he said about something else when he said, oh, don't worry about that, we'll get around it. So we pass an ordinance. Now, what happens if somebody decides to enforce the ordinance? Because that's not what the ordinance says. It says on residential units.
Right. It doesn't say businesses.
Occupy.
And it doesn't say businesses.
That's right. Doesn't say business, another shared sacrifice. But I'm going to tell you, you know what really disturbed me, because, you know, and I am going to wait till next week when this facade of a budget probably is passed, and I'm going to go and I'm going to tell the council exactly, you know, basically that, you know, congratulations on your lack of courage. You know, you have, you know, you redefine gutlessness. And the fact is that I am sick and tired of watching city employees, the lowest rung of city employees, being used as human shields for their incompetency and their lack of courage. It is deplorable. And what's even more deplorable to me, and I'm calling them out, the unions that had a rally to tell everybody, pay so we can keep our jobs. Act like a damn union. Fight the mayor. Fight for your men's jobs. Because you're never going to get a job. You're going to break the city, and you're all going to go ultimately. That's not what unions do. You don't beg, you fight. You're disgusting. It was deplorable to watch that. Please, pay more taxes so we can keep our jobs. And then Kathy Ann follows and says, oh, everybody's getting underpaid. These department heads have saved millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. Well, where's the money? If we've saved so much money and they've done such a good job, how come we're broke? If money brought good people into this city, how did we get noons? I want you to explain that to me. The man's a total incompetent. Never gave a number that was actual factual. And this is what we get. And we have Kathy Ann, who they didn't even want in Swansea, giving the Sermon from the Mount about how much lies. The mayor talking about how we're here because manufacturing left. Are you serious? Manufacturing, 90% of the manufacturing jobs in this community have been gone for over 30 years. I know. My mother spent almost 60 years in a sewing shop. She was a member of the IGLU. She worked in Shelburne shirt and Stella Ann frocks. 25 years at Shelburne shirt and over 30 years at Stella Ann frock. Don't tell me when manufacturing left this city. They left for North Carolina. They're out of North Carolina. They went to China, and now they're on their way to Africa. So, Sam, please, stop lying. Oh, the retirement costs, oh, it's because people are living longer. Bullshit. It's because you didn't pay your share for decades into the retirement system. The unfunded liability was driven up because the city, again, didn't fulfill its obligation to the retirees and pay its share. That's why we have the unfunded liability. The fact is that people living longer has been factored in. The people who are now hired pay double what people that were in the retirement system when I got on the job. I paid 5% of my pay toward my retirement. The new employees pay over 10%. That's factored in. The actuarials factor in the age and the lifespan. The way a retirement fund is created is you get that money, you invest that money, and you make enough money to fund the system. We have an unfunded liability, and a bigger unfunded liability than we should have, because the city either didn't pay or didn't pay on time, and we could not invest that money. And I'm telling you now, at next week's meeting of the retirement board, I am going to demand it in writing that you're going to pay it, and if you don't pay it, I'm going to file a complaint. I'm going to ask the attorney for the retirement board to tell me who I have to go to as one of the elected members of the board to file a complaint against the city of Fall River for not living up to its fiduciary responsibility to the retirees of this city who paid their whole career into a system that this city refuses to fund properly and pay their share, just like with the health care. You know, the lies were incredible. It was disgusting. And then, of course, you had the obsequious lackeys and political sycophants going up there, otherwise known as the neighborhood associations, going up to say, oh, why are you know, if you go to Stop and Shop and they raise the price of eggs, you don't yell at Stop and Shop. Really? Really, Mr. Niagara Neighborhood Association? Really? I have a choice with eggs. If eggs go up $1, I don't have to buy eggs. Or I can try to find eggs being sold at a different price from another competitor. Or I can just stop eating eggs. I don't have a choice when you raise my taxes to the 2.5 every year. It's a bit hypocritical when someone who actually had a conversation with CJ and I and Dan Robillard and made the statement, I don't know if you remember, CJ, that I shouldn't pay taxes for the school department because I don't use the school department. And then at yesterday's meeting, she said, we should keep every position in the school department, no matter how overpaid they are. The salaries are in the paper. They're upset over that because the people know. We have no wage equity. We have no parity. We have clerks in the city hall making $30,000 and clerks in the school department making $60,000 and $70,000. And we wonder why we run out of money. We have a city administrator that flat out lies about everything. They had a windfall in the health care. Horse shit. That wasn't a windfall. That's the money you stole out of my pocket. That's the $15 million that this city has taken from the employees in new co-pays and escalated costs that was shifted to the employees from fiscal 2012 through fiscal 2015. It's not a windfall. It was robbery. It was disgusting. In my over 30 years in this business, that is the worst budget hearing I have ever seen. I have never seen a mayor that just flat out went down and did nothing but sling it. Just sling it. I don't want to hear it. You know, every neighborhood associate's the same thing. People are living too long. Oh, the health care costs are killing us. You've made $15 million in health care. How is health care killing you? You piss that money in a hole like you do with everything. And the city council, again, the human shields. We have to vote for this because we'll all die. Oh, you know, well, you know something? Why don't you just say to the mayor, take your budget, go back, cut some other positions, keep public safety on the job, keep these people on the job, find other places to cut. You know, and after the meeting, because I quoted Mr. Goebbels about lies, and I'm going to read it again today. For you people who didn't see the council. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. That lie can be maintained only for such time as the government can shield the people from the political, economic, and/or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the government to use all of its power to repress dissent, like limiting citizens' input time. That's the repression of dissent. For the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, truth is the greatest enemy of the government. And that statement was made by the propaganda minister of Germany, Joseph Goebbels, who was the propaganda minister from 1933 through 1945, which, in case you don't know, that was the period of the Third Reich, the Nazi Germany. So they knew that if you lied to the people enough, you could convince them, but you couldn't hear the truth. But you're getting the truth. And I said, am I angry? Yeah, I am angry because this city is being run into the ground, and I got a mayor that's going to give me a history lesson. You know, Mr. Mayor, while you were out in Brown University and living somewhere else, my mother was working in a sewing shop. Don't tell me when the mills left. I lived across the street from the Sheldon Shirt. That's where I grew up. Don't tell me about the retirement system. I'm on the board. You're full of crap. You're spinning yarns. And the council, grow a set. Now, that's my rant, CJ. Your turn.
Hey, you know, I started this morning with Jason Burns because Jason said that the fire department didn't go out and demonstrate because the unions came out in support of the budget, which I think was absolutely wrong. Not supporting the, you know, that they supported the budget. But as I told Jason, and you know, you can't send out mixed messages. Jason and the vice president of the union was standing right there by the mayor at the budget announcement, and the mayor said, and all of these people support this budget. So what, is it all these people that are here except the fire department? No, he said all these people. And not one of those people, including the chief of the fire department, said a word that, no, we don't support this budget. So who am I supposed to think? Who am I supposed to believe? What am I supposed to know? I mean, if this is what they're saying, then I have to assume that this is what's right. But this is what's going on, that the unions can't even step up publicly to the mayor in a mayor's press conference and just step forward and say, Mr. Mayor, no, the fire department does not support this budget. The police department didn't do it. As a matter of fact, I think the smartest move that happened was Chief Racine was not at that budget announcement. But everyone was, Kenny Pacheco was there, Kathy Viveris, Lou Pacheco, you know, Dottie Sutter, they were all there. And they all support this budget, a budget of lies, a budget predicated on lies. And as a matter of fact, at the city council meeting yesterday, Kathy Ann Viveris alluded to the fact that the number's not real. So how can you say that this budget is going to happen when the numbers aren't real? You know, I mean, can you seriously sit there in a budget hearing and allude to the fact that the numbers aren't real? And she's said it numerous times that we've built into the budget for sanitation, you know, larger numbers. This way, when they don't come out the way they're supposed to, predicting that they won't, we'll have enough of a cushion. Oh, the magic cushions are back.
The cushions, yeah, the cushions. Well, you know, you're right. I mean, look, you know, I'm not just talking the talk here. I've walked the walk. We had projected layoffs, and I didn't go support a budget. We fought against the budget. Those unions should have had a demonstration, but it should have been a demonstration against the mayor, a demonstration to put the city council on notice for them to send that budget back, find the money to keep their people on the job, and get rid of some of the dead wood. Get rid of the dead wood. You're going to tell me there's no money? As I said, no renegotiations of contracts, no attempt to look over salaries and bring them in line. Like I said, salary disparities. I mean, look at the school budget. 101 million plus the other stuff from other programs. That's more than a third. It's almost half of the entire city budget. Look at the salaries over there. Every principal makes over $100,000. We've got CFOs making 140, 150. For God's sakes, there's no fat in this budget? We've saved millions of dollars? I mean, I have never seen. I mean, look, we all know that governments lie. I mean, you know, Goebbels knew it, and it was actually a tactic. He said it. You know, the propaganda minister for Nazi Germany said, you know, that's our tactic. We're going to tell the people a lie so often they're going to believe it. And guess what? They were pretty successful. You know, they almost conquered the entire world, you know, predicated on a lie. Everybody knows that government is the definition of mismanagement. As I said, Milton Friedman said if you gave the government the Sahara Desert, we'd be out of sand in 5 years. You know, they misspend by design. They're incompetent by design. And then Kathy Ann is saying we need to pay these people more because they're doing such a wonderful job. Really? Really? And then we have, as I said, the sycophants running up there saying, oh, you know, you don't complain to Stop and Shop. You know, well, that's right, because I just don't go to Stop and Shop if they're charging me too much. And there's competition. There's no competition. I can't say, well, you know, I want the New Bedford trash to pick my trash up because they don't have to pay. I can't do that. I don't have the luxury. This isn't a competition. This isn't the government isn't capitalism. There's no competition. There's no free market. There's no the balancing of costs because of competition. It's like, you know, you eat these tax increases or we take your house. I mean, you know, this is why it's so important to have elected officials with the courage to tell the mayor, you know, this is not a team effort. The city council is not supposed to be on the mayor's team. They're supposed to be a set of checks and balances. In case some of you didn't take physics and you know, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And there's also a set of checks and balances of government. That's the way the government is set up. We have a tripartite system. You have the legislative and executive and judicial branches, and they're supposed to be checks and balances there. When the executive branch goes nuts, the legislative branch is supposed to rein them in, and vice versa. We're supposed to have a set of checks and balances. We get back to the old dialectic, the Hegelian dialectic. We're supposed to have a thesis and an antithesis, two separate views. And from those two separate views, we don't say one is right or the other one is right. We come up with a synthesis, which is in between, which is the better answer. But no, Everybody's supposed to agree with the mayor. Then we have the other people saying, let's approve this budget so they don't think we're stupid in Boston. Well, they're going to think we're stupid in Boston as long as we can't balance our budget, and as long as we go up there begging for 80% of our budget, and as long as when we make our presentations in front of the city council, we don't know that us is spelled U-S, not U-Z. You know, we don't have, it's not us in Fall River, and it's not gasoline, it's us and gasoline. You know, so, you know, if you want to appear that you have a brain, at least be able to speak the language of your own nation. It's not us. They do think, you know, us guys down here in Fall River are all morons because we say us in gasoline, and because we have a city that's in a total state of disarray. And if you think that this budget is why Boston thinks we're stupid, no, it's decades of us begging for money from the feds, from the state. You go to Boston and ask a legislator in Boston, what's wrong with Fall River? They say they can't pay their own bills. They're always up here begging. That's what's wrong. That's why they look down on us from Boston, because we can't run our own house. And yet we try to convince the people that we're doing a great job. That's the thing that kills me. It's like, for God's sakes, 20 years they've been shoving this crap down our throat. And there are still some people that live in this community that look around and look how this place is deteriorated. Look at the mess this place has become over the last 20 years. You know, dodging heroin needles and raising taxes and getting nothing for it, getting less service. Getting a 150-man fire department instead of a 300-man department. We used to pay all our bills, and now we don't pay any. And really, we're on the right track?
And you know, Chip, the thing is that people get upset with me and you and the people who are bringing the story to them, the truth. Especially when you make a comment like, Fall River is a welfare city. Ooh, you're hateful. You're a racist. Guess what? When I can read a post on Facebook saying, should I get an attorney for a prenup because my boyfriend and I are going to get married and I have Section 8, $400 in food stamps, and $786 in cash, and if it doesn't work out, I don't want to lose my Section 8 certificate. Is this reality? Is this what we've become? We have become such a city of entitlement. Boston knows we want to clean up XYZ city, or we want to redevelop XYZ city. Ship them to Fall River. They'll take them. And you have a city council which approves over and over and over again more low-income housing, more Section 8, more public housing. And they say, why do we keep getting these people? Why? Because the units can't stay vacant, because if they stay vacant, the feds don't pay for them. So whose fault is this? Whose fault is it? It's the viewer's fault. It's the voters' fault. You vote these nitwits in, and you expect them to do something different and make it better. They violate the law. They knowingly violate the law. They do it every time because, as this mayor always says, oh, it's perfectly legal until we're challenged in court.
No,
you're right. Anymore.
You're right. And the thing that bothers me is that we're looking at this budget, and we're looking at this mayor, and they're trying to justify the things he's doing, and you can't do it that way. He's putting the cart before the horse. He says he wants to go from depending on grants and one-time monies to not depending at all, and he's going to do that by breaking the back of the few remaining taxpayers in his city. He doesn't do the reorganizations and the cutting of fat first, because you know something, maybe if we did that first, if we actually put the horse before the cart, had this budget, had for the last 6 months rather figuring out how he could figure out enough taxes and fee increases to try to balance this budget, which isn't balanced. If he would have spent that 6 months aggressively looking at every department aggressively eliminating every position he could that was not necessary, aggressively renegotiating as they did in Providence, as they're doing in Providence and Central Falls. Had he done that, we might not even have a deficit. We might not need some of these taxes. But again, it's like, let's repeat what we've been doing for 20 years and expect a different outcome. And we all know what that's the definition of.
Yes.
Insanity.
And the Herald News actually wrote about that all people ever kept talking about at the budget hearing was the insanity. Well, guess what? Because it's the truth. But you know, the mayor made it very clear in all his presentations. And by the way, the presentation to the city council yesterday was a modified presentation that he presented to every neighborhood group. So obviously he's a one-track record because there's nothing else there. But he said that they didn't want to address personnel. He directed his transition team to not address personnel. Okay? You know what, Mr. Mayor? Big mistake. Huge, massive mistake. Because you know what? Let's go through the department heads right off the top. Okay? We have 3 department heads for DCM. Right off the bat, cut 2. Goodbye, you're gone. You're gone. Okay? Move on. Let's go to the treasurer's office. How many people do we got there? Let's go to the assessor's office. We know now we have 2. We have the assessor. Now we have an assistant assessor. Just put on. The city clerk, we have a clerk. We have the city clerk. We have the assistant city clerk, and we have a staff. And they're a department that actually could use more help based upon everything they have to do. So when you're looking at these departments, look at the collector's office. Okay? I went in there the other day to pay a water bill. 1 cashier. 1. Okay? 3 people sitting at desks doing God knows what, but 1 cashier. And I believe when you went there one day, they had the lines going around.
Yeah, it was around the building 3 times.
Around the building 3 times. So again, where's the customer service? Oh, wait, we need to get rid of a few of those cashiers because we got to make cuts. You know, oh, and by the way, while we're making those cuts, I want you to train them. Okay.
Yeah, well, heaven forbid, CJ, that, I don't know why the mayor doesn't realize that the cost that you can impact the greatest are personnel costs. That's the majority of cost in the city,
right.
Are personnel costs. I mean, the others are fixed costs. There's not much you can do about building maintenance. There's a little bit. You can consolidate some buildings maybe. There are a lot of fixed costs involved. But it's personnel, redundancy of positions and things that you can actually make a dramatic effect on the city budget. Wage parity, wage equity, as I said. There's no excuse for a clerk on a school department making $60,000 and a clerk in City Hall making $30,000. Some of these redundancies with department heads, redundancies of jobs. But no, the city never does this. And the thing is that what bothers me is, as you said, he's trying to sell it. And it's like, well, we'll do that later. Well, that's another one with the checks in the mail. That's another promise that we'll never keep because, something, in another year or 2, they'll have the firefighters on the chopping block again. They'll use the human shields again. And I'm going to go to the council next week and basically tell them they're cowards. And I'm tired of them using public safety and city employees who provide us services as their human shields because they're afraid to grow a set.
I hear you. Believe it or not, it's that time already. Time flies. We never have enough time here. But you know what, Chip? I think the rest of this week is going to be interesting, and Friday's show is going to be a kicker. So I hope you tune in on Friday. It's great to be in your living room. It's great that you watch. Please continue to watch Spindle City Straight Talk and share us with your friends.
That's right. I got to tell you, the both of us guys really like you.